Hello and welcome to Firearm Freedom. This is going to be another First Impressions video. In today's First Impressions video, we are taking a look at my brand new Colt 6943 factory SBR. And before we get this video started, I wanted to let you know ways that you can support the channel. This video is not sponsored. However, you can still support the channel and help me out quite a bit by checking out that link in the description for the new Firearm Freedom merch drop that I just did a few days ago. That video is obviously being censored out of existence because it's about dead in the water at less than 100 views. So if you guys could check out that link or rep the brand, I would greatly appreciate it. Of course, as always, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, share the video around, and comment down below and let me know what you think of this video. I am pretty excited about this one. I feel like I'm always excited about every new gun that I get on the channel, but you know, it just works that way. I actually had no idea I was going to be buying this Colt SBR. It just randomly fell into my lap at the gun shop. It was one of those things where I actually had another gun set back, and instead of getting that gun, I decided to go with this instead. And I think I got a pretty good deal on it, and I'm proud to say that I think this is actually the first video on YouTube that I have seen of this particular model of Colt. You guys can actually still find these uppers available. As you guys probably already know, CZ actually bought out Colt like a year ago now, so they are still manufacturing these uppers. Now, for those of you out there that don't know, what does factory SBR mean? Well, basically, this comes from Colt as a registered short-barreled rifle. So unfortunately, the only way to purchase this is just like you would purchase a suppressor from a gun store. You got to pay that $200 tax stamp. However, the benefit is that you have your unengraved lower, which is pretty cool when it comes to a Colt lower. For those of you guys out there that don't know, Colt is rather collectible these days, especially in the lower department. So with this, since it's a factory SBR, I do not have to engrave my name on it or anything like that. It's just good to go as you see it. In the long run, that's pretty cool when it comes to how collectible this gun is. Now, this one in particular was made in 2019, give or take a few months. Now, that is right about the time that Colt was kind of transitioning, and to be completely honest with you, I know a lot of people love Colt every step of the way, but towards the end there, the QC of Colt was kind of very much up and down. This one appears to be pretty freaking good. However, at that end of the original Colt era with the company, you could see a lot of varying QC. Now, what makes the 6943 rather unique and what drew me to this as a factory SBR? It has an 11.5 barrel. However, the 6943 series comes in a few different lengths. Their 10.5 gets real nice and close to that front sight there. However, the 11.5 I think is a really nice compromise of just getting you a little bit more velocity. You guys can see here that it has a quad rail. However, the trained eyes that are watching right now may have already noticed something unique, and that is the fact that the 6943 series has a monolithic upper. That is pretty freaking cool. If you guys don't already know what a monolithic upper is, your traditional AR-15 is going to have a barrel nut here that is screwed onto the upper receiver, and the rail is going to be a separate piece out in the front. Whether it is a clamshell style rail that drops in or a free float rail, it is going to screw onto the upper. Now, obviously, although getting kind of really into the what ifs, this does make somewhat of a fail point for the rail. It can come loose, it can break, it cannot be secured properly. Your optics could have some issues, or your lasers could have some issues if it's a lower quality rail. In theory, having a rail that is just one piece with the upper is going to be about as strong as you are going to get for mounting capabilities and just overall rigidity with the upper. So that's exactly what you have going on here. The upper is actually not screwed into this rail at all. As you can see, it's just one monolithic piece all the way through. Top that off with the fact that it is a quad rail here up in the front, and you have an even stronger mounting system overall. So that is a very, very cool feature, and you can see you still have a little bit of a free float rail style here, so the barrel is not going to be quite as bogged down by the rail. However, you still obviously have your pinned front sight post here, which is also your gas block. I got into this one at $13.99, and quite frankly, that is about a steal considering just these uppers now go for about $1,100 to $1,200 if you can find them. Now, again, I saw these in stock at a few different places, so if you wanted to build out a similar gun or build out a pistol in this configuration, that wouldn't be a bad idea at all, and it's still out there and available, which is cool. But at that price, considering how much Colt lowers go for now and just the overall package, there was no way I could turn it down. Now, you guys will notice I kept this rifle in the bone stock configuration for this first impressions video, partly because this is a first impressions video and I want to get a first impression with the rifle out of box, but also because I could not find much out there at all, whether it be on YouTube or just regular Google searches about this rifle. So I wanted to show you guys, if you buy this upper or a complete SBR, what this is going to look like. My first gripe out of the box is they went with a Magpul rear sight. I understand this saves cost, but to be honest with you, I have never seen a Magpul rear sight that looks so out of place on this rifle. I would almost rather they not have a rear sight and I can choose my own option and save me the extra 30 or 40 bucks. This works, of course, but this will be getting switched out very, very soon, and I'm not a huge fan of it on this gun. Now, you'll notice, obviously, as I already mentioned, the front sight is a standard A2 post that has been cut, and now you have a folding front sight. This is pretty cool if you wanted to run an optic or if you wanted to run a laser or something like that. You should be able to get this out of the way enough so that it's not going to be an issue. But it's pretty nice that you still have the strength of an A2 front sight post, and it is pinned to the barrel, and that, I think, is a really nice feature. When it comes to the bolt carrier group, it is properly staked and it is magnetic particle inspected, so that is all good to go there. I didn't see any issues at all with the bolt carrier group. It is also going to be phosphate, so you got a really nice finish on there that's not going to wear easily. Now, the one thing that I thought was interesting about the charging handle, which you guys are probably going to have a hard time telling, but strangely enough, the anodizing stopped like halfway through and went to somewhat of a gloss finish. But I don't exactly know how that would have happened. It was probably just a mess up when they were coating the charging handle, but it still works just fine. You have a Colt upper, obviously, tied into the monolithic rail, and then you also have a chrome-lined, but not cold hammer forged, 1-in-7 11.5-inch barrel, which I think is still a great barrel for longevity, and with that chrome lining, you're going to have really nice corrosion resistance over the years. However, nowadays, I think nitriding has come a long way, and I'm kind of up in the air on which one I would like more than the other. You're working with a standard A2 pistol grip. This will probably be switched out in the future, and a standard M4 style stock. Again, not really a big deal here. The one thing that I think is just awesome is that this rifle ships with 2 factory 20-round Colt magazines. Now, these are older mags. I wish Colt could at least give you an anti-tilt follower, but not the end of the world. You can get one from Magpul for just a couple of bucks. So these are cool to have. It just looks great in the rifle, and these are actually getting more and more collectible these days as well. As far as other goodies in the box, I actually give you a good bit. You have a factory cotton black sling. You have a chamber brush, a bore brush. You have a QD swivel, because in the front of the quad rail, you got a QD socket on the right and left-hand side. It comes with rail covers, so that's also nice, and also a small cleaning kit. So they actually, again, give you a good bit when it comes to what is in the box with this rifle. Getting into how this shot at the range, it shot pretty damn good. I had no issues at all, and me and my buddies that were shooting it at the range all made a comment about how light the recoil of the gun was for being a shorty setup like this with a carbine length gas system. Normally when you have a carbine length gas system, especially with a 10.5 or an 11.5, it is punchy and it tends to be a little bit overgassed, especially being a Colt, which again have a history of being overgassed. When it comes to this, it felt damn near like a mid-length gas system, and the brass was ejecting perfectly at around the 3 o'clock position. In fact, out of all of my other setups, I don't know that I've ever seen one of my other ARs have such a perfect and straight ejection pattern. So that was pretty nice. I am going to run this suppressed, so we'll see how that changes with suppressor use. Now, the one thing that always frustrates me with Colt lowers, and a lot of people don't really realize that for a very long time, Colt was an incredibly anti-gun company, and they still carried that over to their standard lowers nowadays, where you have this massive wall here that blocks any sort of movement with trigger groups and things like that when you're looking at full auto lowers and other things. I think this is just kind of redundant and frustrating because it's just a little bit of a throwback to when Colt supported a lot of anti-gun bills back in the day. I'm sure a lot of cloners won't like me saying that, but you know what? It's true, and whenever I crack this lower open, it's just, I don't know, man. I hate looking at that. So as far as the trigger pull for a factory mil spec, again, it feels almost like a single stage. You have barely any take up and a little bit of creep, then your brake resets right there. And it is a really nice trigger. I had absolutely no issues with that trigger, and I was really impressed with it for being just a standard mil-spec trigger out of the box. Of course, on the opposite side of the lower, you got a bunch of cool Colt markings, and it is not a poverty pony lower, which is normally what's on the channel, so it's kind of cool to finally have a factory gun that's not a poverty lower, but that's all right. When it comes to what I see this rifle fitting in for me in the future, it is most definitely going to be my tennis bag EDC gun. I have a lot of things in store for this, a lot of upgrades that are already here that I've been just itching to put on this, so stay tuned. Get ready to see a lot of photos of this being upgraded moving forward. But I think ultimately for the price that I got into this at and the collectability with Colt and how far that goes and how it just kind of always moves up in value, I am not too bummed about it at all. I think these uppers are pretty freaking cool. This is actually my first monolithic upper on the channel, and I definitely would not hesitate to recommend this upper if you're trying to do a cool modern / retro build that is also going to be probably one of the strongest upper options that you are going to go with out of box. And that is going to wrap up this first impressions video on the Colt 6943 SBR. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any other questions about this rifle or anything else on the channel, please throw them down below in the comment section, and you guys know I absolutely will get back to you. As always, thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for more great videos coming soon.